Hello again from Green Island Gardens. Today I'm going to show you one of my favourite trees, Nyssa, or the Tupelo tree. Now, Nyssas are not widely grown in the UK, and I'm really not sure why, because for me they're one of the most spectacular autumn colour trees. There are about 10 to 11 species of Nyssa, but widely grown we probably only find a couple in this country. Nyssa sylvatica is the easiest to get. It makes a lovely pyramidal shaped tree. It's fairly slow growing and it'll reach about 15 metres eventually. It has a deep taproot, so it's very important to put it into the correct location when you get one and don't move it. Nyssas prefer moist soil but will tolerate drought quite well once established. And you can see from this lovely specimen here, even after the incredible drought we had this summer, the colour is still absolutely spectacular, and it didn't actually suffer during the summer at all. The leaves didn't wilt and it didn't prematurely shed any leaves, despite being desperately short of water. It does produce small, insignificant green flowers in the spring, and they have a high nectar content, so it's excellent for wildlife. And then small green burr-like fruits follow, which are similar to gums, and they give the tree another common name of the black gum. These berries are edible, but they are fairly bitter, giving rise to another of its common names, the sour gum. So this is Nyssa sylvatica, my favourite Nyssa of all. I first saw a cultivar of this at Wisley Gardens, and it was called Nyssa sylvatica Wisley Bonfire. And I vowed that when I had my own garden, this would create one of the main focal points. And this one is positioned so that it's at the end of what we call the main vista as people come into the gardens. And for 2 or 3 weeks in the middle of November, as it's just starting to colour up nicely now, lovely oranges going to red before the leaves fall. Nyssa sylvatica was first imported to Britain in the 1750s from America. And there are several really good selections that have been made now. They're all cultivars that are available. Jermyn's Flame, Sherwood Flame, Wisley Bonfire. You can see the common theme running through with their names. They all represent the bonfire and the beautiful rich colours of the autumn. They are quite expensive to buy in a nursery, but that's because they're tricky to propagate. They can be done by cuttings and things, but from seed they're unreliable. So most of the named cultivars will be done from cuttings produced vegetatively. But if you can find one and find a spot for one in your garden, they are well worth it. One of my favourite trees. So this is another Nyssa. This one is called Nyssa sinensis. It's the Chinese Tupelo, Chinese Nyssa, comes from Vietnam and southeast China. It makes a much smaller tree than Nyssa sylvatica, so it's excellent for a small garden. This one has been here now for a good 20 years, and it's probably reached the full size it's going to. It does tend to sucker a little bit, but that's not a problem. You can just cut off the suckers at the base. But for me, the leaves are even bigger than Nyssa sylvatica and more spectacular. They're beautiful, beautiful colour. At the moment, this one is not showing its finest form because it did suffer in the drought. And you can see the leaves are a little bit sparse. It did lose some of its leaves in an attempt to protect itself during the hot, dry summer. But nevertheless, it's still colouring up nicely. This is another Nyssa here, completely different shape. This one with its lovely weeping habit. Nyssa Autumn Cascades is the selection, and it's very slow growing. This one's been here for about 15 years now, 18 years maybe, and really not grown a huge amount. It's quite late to colour, as with most Nyssas. They usually hold their colour well into November, so good after the Acers to continue the autumn colour. They're very long-lived trees as well, have been known to live up to 650 years. So if you're thinking of planting a tree for the future, consider a Nyssa for your garden.